What is up, my fellow video game enjoyers? Today I'm going to be talking about a pretty cracked out crybaby build. This is my Gemling Legionnaire that I've been planning for very close to 5 days now, and we're about a week in, but I've been dying repeatedly in SSFHC, and I just have not managed to get this character going up until now. And now that it is going, it is quite the banger. It's does things really well in terms of AoE. The single target has been surprisingly good. There's another build similar to this one going around with a Warbringer that utilizes totems. This build doesn't do any of that stuff. We're fully doubling down on the power of a singular button, and that one singular button is Seismic Cry with the Corrupting Blood support. We do block every now and then actively, but I am still thinking what I'm gonna do in regards to that in the future. I might just end up going for block nodes, as armor doesn't seem to be particularly effective, but I have not mapped with the character. I don't know how that's gonna work out. Like I mentioned, we are playing in hardcore, so I would love to not die, and armor just might not be sufficient for that. Another cool thing that we're doing that I only have access to half of it right now is the fact that we are using Blasphemy. So with Blasphemy in PoE2, we can curse mobs almost immediately. It doesn't have the 1 second delay like self-casting, but it's not quite non-existent either. So for right now, I'm just running the Singular and Feeble because I don't have access to Temporal Chains. My character is only level 58, or my character is only 52, and Temporal Chains is 58, sorry. We're gonna have to pick up Whispers of Doom, and from what I understand, I haven't messed around with it quite yet. You can get quite a lot of AoE. You can see there's a ton of AoE here. You pretty much double it on the base, and then you can also use Magnified Effect. But if some of you guys are familiar with the Corrupting Blood build, you might be like, why, how are you gonna do that? Aren't you supposed to use this on your main ability? And to you, I say this is the reason, partially, why we chose the Gemling Legionnaire, because currently I'm using adaptive capabilities and enhanced effectiveness. This allows me to, again, only at level 52, have 3200 life, which is the most life that I've seen, I think, on like any life character just in general. And with the SSF gear, we obviously can improve things a lot. I did try to get a 5-link on my Seismic Cry. I didn't manage to do it, so we have to do some weird mechanics. But yeah, let me maybe explain the core principles of the build. So you're not going to be able to play this build until level 41 because the main gem that we are able to use is the Seismic Cry that we're supposed to be using is the Seismic Cry. Again, in the Warbringer version, you can play, I think, with Infernal Cry a lot earlier on, but we are not doing that. And the reason why we can't play with Infernal Cry is because this gem has a very important thing to it. There's only 2 Warcries in the game, and only one of them has this node. Performs a damaging Warcry, knocking back nearby enemies. If a heavy stunned enemy is hit, your next slam is empowered to perform an additional aftershock. If not, this skill's cooldown is reset. So this is the most important part. If not, this skill's cooldown is reset. This way, we don't have to be a Warbringer, and we are still stunning, and we are using a lowest gem that we can. It's level 11 because we get it at 41, but to get around the stun, we can use the pin support. So for clearing right now, I am still hitting a little bit too hard with the initial damage of the ability. We don't scale that portion whatsoever, so eventually I'm hoping that it's going to fall off, and we're not going to have to use pin. But for right now, for AoE clearing, most of the time I have to use pin because, yeah, I don't have a 5-link. And the reason for this is because pin allows us to have this. Supports any skill that hits enemies, allowing its physical damage to pin enemies but making it unable to stun. This way, again, we're never stunning. We never have a cooldown. We can always keep spamming Seismic Cry, and it's our only button. Trust me, I tried to add buttons to this build, but there are no buttons to be added, I don't think. There are mobility skills that you can throw in. Again, eventually we're gonna expand on our Blasphemy. Currently, our only weapon that we can possibly use because nothing gives us damage, is a scepter. So I'm using it with discipline and giving it vitality and herbalism for the additional benefits of that. And then eventually I think I'm gonna have blink, and then we're obviously spending the rest of our spirit on getting a second curse that's going to be temporal chains. And that's about it. But we still need, the reason why partially it's a Gemling Legionnaire is because you can't do this on the Warbringer, right? We can't use the Blasphemy because it's got that int requirement. We pretty much only have strength, right? So we're trying to avoid picking up other forms of stat scaling. I do know that there is an Astromantis in the game. I haven't really looked up other unique items whatsoever yet. I do know that it goes up to 100 of all attributes, and that might help our itemization a little bit. Maybe it's going to enable evasion on our gear, but to my understanding, it is extremely rare. And yeah, I'm probably not finding it anytime soon on SSF. But if you really want to start playing the build right now before I test everything, as this is just a build diary, that might be something that you could start looking into early for that itemization. And for the most part, yeah, things are very simple. We're just getting strength. We're just trying to get strength. The Corrupting Cry means that it supports war cries, causing them to inflict corrupting blood on enemies in their area of effect. So we're exclusively stacking strength. We're trying to get it as much as possible. Again, with the other build, you have totems, you have, I guess, just totems, really. And so this doesn't benefit you as much. But for us, being this being the only source of damage, our skill tree is, you know, a funky one. I'll explain a little bit about that in just a second. But for the items, we're just trying to get strength. We're trying to get life. Currently, I'm trying to get armor. I don't know if it's going to be good. It's probably not going to be all that good. A shield with increased block chance is very, very useful. You can see that the amount of strength that I'm having on my items is very, very low. And yeah, this is just the best that I can do for right now. And the build is working pretty good. That's a crazy pair of boots. So, I mean, in that sense, it's a good and a bad thing, right? It means that the build has a lot of potential when it comes to items, but it also means that, you know, the items are going to be a little bit of a struggle to get. And the skill tree, yeah, stat stackers are interesting in PoE2, you know, because in general, I think a lot of people feel like all they're ever clicking are travel nodes anyway, but it is so much more justifiable when you're playing something that is stat stacking. And since in our case, that's strength, we have to travel to a couple places for some additional scaling. You can also see that I'm focusing a little bit on regeneration. This is something that I'm messing around with, experimenting. The numbers aren't particularly substantial, so it's helping. You know, it's hard to get forms of regeneration in PoE2. Obviously, we have a giant HP pool, so our potions don't really do a whole lot. You know, it's been fine for now, but I think eventually when mobs hit us really, really hard, this just might be a little too little. But it does oftentimes come with these sort of armor nodes, and the skill tree naturally facilitates that. So we'll see where it takes us. We have to take beef, the most important node on the tree. Of course, we go to brute strength to pick up a little bit more strength, and well, a lot more strength and additional damage scaling. I would highly recommend you get urgent call fairly early. I will be talking about leveling in just a moment, but yeah, urgent call proves to be pretty good, because another problem with sustaining is that we are using blood magic. This is pretty much impossible to run on mana unless you want to be spending your mana pot. I don't want to do that, so we are blood magic, and with the urgent call we can sustain pretty well. Obviously, we're not leveling up our Seismic Cry, so the mana cost is not gonna go up beyond the support gems that we're going to be adding into the build. It is helping out with all the annoying aspects of it. Then we've got Guttural Roar and Deafening Cries. These are really, really strong nodes. War Cry speed is everything. And you might be thinking, oh yeah, but the ability only goes up to 10 stacks and then it refreshes. You don't have to be spamming it. Well, first of all, it makes it very, very comfortable, because when you're moving around and you're using your ability, you might notice that in PoE2, unless you're spamming the ability, if you get enough cast speed, it slows you down very little. So we can just tap it every now and then, and that way we maintain the full speed. But on bosses, you're not just getting 10 stacks and going AFK. Instead, you continue to spam your ability because of this node, which is 8% increased damage for each time you've Warcried recently. This doesn't have to be a different Warcry. You are just spamming, and this just gives you damage. In my case, currently, looking at the tooltip, it gives me about double damage, so pretty good. And it's another form of scaling the build with just the Warcry speed. So that is going to be something that you're going to be focusing on. And then eventually, yeah, we're traveling over to Zone Control. We're traveling up for Whispers of Doom. And I'm also probably going to be picking up the first effect that's available here because, yeah, Temp Chains and Enfeeble is that strong. Might be block, might not be. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. I'll be sure to update you guys unless I die, in which case, to be honest, I'm going to update you anyway because, let's be real, I'm going to remake the character. When can you start playing this build? It's 41. 41 is the earliest that you can get Seismic Cry with this version of the build. That's all that you can do. How do we level it then? The way that I did it by using Gas Grenade and Flash Grenade. It is very easy to get very good weapons. Those skills are super strong. They recently got nerfed by 40% or maybe even 50%, and they're still super strong. And if you want to learn how to do that, I'm going to have a guide on leveling pretty quickly with them. I managed to do normal in 5 hours pretty casually on hardcore. So maybe that's going to be something that you're going to be able to learn from. And yeah, I should have that video on my channel already, but if it's not up yet, then it's going to be up soon. Just keep an eye out as we will be posting them pretty much back to back. And then the other annoying aspect of all of this is, will this build get nerfed? Honestly, I don't think it's overpowered. I haven't seen it in maps yet. I think for the most part, it should be fine. But there is one major problem. GGG is on a real crusade to balance their game right now. And this build, they hate this build, I'm sure. Jonathan is plotting right now how to nerf it just because it uses one button. PoE2 is all about using combinations of skills. And they were saying how maybe they're going to allow some one button builds. I don't know if this is going to be the build, guys. It's one of those things where, you know, stat stackers tend to be overpowered. I don't know if this build is overpowered. It's really nice for leveling once you do get to level 41. I just can't promise you that one day you're not going to wake up looking forward to playing your Gemling Legionnaire Crybaby build. And yeah, they just like obliterated it. I really can't know. We're going to have to wait and see. Play the build at your own risk. With all those things being said, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you're looking forward to the update. Keep an eye out for that leveling guide. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure to subscribe and like. It does help out the algorithm, but let's be real. There's probably like 2 of you guys at this point still watching the video. But for those 2 people that are still here, mwah, kisses on the forehead, kisses on the lips, all that good stuff. See you soon.